Tour friends, welcome to Central Park North in springtime. Today we're going to go take a walk on the reservoir, and then we're going to go up and see the park where the North Park where they have baseball fields and things like that. Then we're going to go to the gardens. There were three gardens, only two of them are open today. They call them the Conservatory Gardens. That's because they're run by the New York Central Park Conservatory, which is a private organization originally who started in the 19th century of wealthy people who lived near the park and wanted to make it better. And they work in conjunction with the Parks Department, and they're the people who will sell you park benches for $10,000. They're the people who maintain these beautiful gardens up here. Then we're going to go to Harlem. It's the last lake in Harlem. They call it, I forget, Harlem. Harlem Mere. It's called, not Mirror, just Mere. That's a lake, and we'll see what's there. Then we're going to go to the ice skating rink, and then we'll go into the North Woods. That sounds frightening and scary, and it should be. We won't go too deeply into the North Woods, but that will be it. And this will give you an idea of what it's like to come to the North Central Park. There's swings and slides and stuff for kids to do. We're entering here at 96th Street and 5th Avenue. See the sign there? A little sticker on it says 9402. That means we're near 94th Street at this point. Now we're going to come, but this is a bike path. They show no mercy here. And now let's walk up and see what the reservoir is like. The park is 843 acres in size, and construction on it started in 1858. William J. Bryant, who owned the New York Post, was one of the people who was responsible for creating this park. And Frederick Law Olmsted was the designer of the park. This path here, which is stone, is called the bridle path. Bridle path goes entirely around the reservoir, and then the tail of the bridle path goes down another 3 miles to along Central Park West, all the way down almost to the south part of the park. So if you run the whole bridle path, you're running about 5 miles. So this reservoir was built in 1863. Park construction started in 1858. So this reservoir was part of the Croton Reservoir system that provided water for the city of New York. This was a supply reservoir that went into another reservoir that was currently located where the main grass area is now, about a mile south of here in Central Park. And that went down to the 42nd Street Library. Now this is an opportunity to get a beautiful view of Midtown Manhattan. Those narrow spires you see are single-family homes built. They're condos that go all the way up, mostly owned by foreign investors. But usually you have 1 or 2 floors of each of those units. They look like they should blow over to me, but it's hard to say. This is actually a beautiful view of the skyline of Manhattan from the reservoir at Central Park. This reservoir holds 1 billion gallons of water. When it was built in 1863, they thought that would last a while. Today, 1 billion gallons of water wouldn't last the city one day. In 1963, they replaced this fence. There used to be staying corrected, 2003, there used to be just a plain old wire fence here. They came out with some drawings of how this was originally constructed and put this beautiful iron rail. And that was only built in 2003. This reservoir is named after Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. She had a lot of input into good deeds in the city of New York, the park particularly. She lived right over there in some of those buildings on Central Park East. You can see spring is bursting out all over. This is a beautiful time in New York. The trees have that light green look. In another couple of months, there'll be a dark green look and a lot less attractive than it is now, in my mind. I like the light green look because it reminds me of so much more that's going to be coming. I love the pink flowers on the trees. Could that be a magnolia? Maybe. So, if you come to New York, this track is not concrete, it's a gravel type track, which is fun for runners to run on. So if you come to New York, you might consider taking a run up here. You go around the reservoir, it's about 3 miles. You go all the way down you get on the bridle path, which is down on the side of the road there. You do a 5-mile run. That's also not concrete. That's for horses. Horses still have the right of way on the bridle path. You don't see too many horses these days, but there used to be horses riding there. This is a wonderful time to be in New York. Spring is always beautiful. We even have almost a blue sky today. Not quite, but almost. And this is being brought to you by Gary's Tours in 4K and 60 frames per second. If you like videos like this, please subscribe and like. Today's April 23rd, 2025, and we're walking around the Central Park Reservoir. Not all the way. We're going to start up north here shortly. Take another shot of that. That is a beautiful view, is it not? Let's zoom in a little on that. Absolutely beautiful. That's the bridle path that goes around the reservoir, and then its tail goes down to Tavern on the Green, which is way down, probably around, I'd say, 75th Street. Tavern on the Green is one of the restaurants in Central Park that was featured in the motion picture Ghostbusters. There were creatures that came, wolves-like creatures that appeared outside of Tavern on the Green in that movie. This jogging trail became famous when you had, I think in the 80s, the Central Park Six, who allegedly beat and possibly murdered a jogger. Big were tried. They all later were found to be innocent. DNA proved them to be innocent.
Like it happened so fast. Whoa. It was so much build up and then it just all of a sudden.
Now we're going down to the bridle path, and we're going to go up and look at what they call the North Fields. The North Fields are where there are baseball fields and things of that nature. You're not supposed to ride your bicycles on the bridle path. You're supposed to only be able to walk them on the bridle path. Bridle path is for horses and pedestrians, and legally horses still have the right of way on the bridle path. So yield right of way to any horses that come on. But not everybody knows the rules around here. Now we're going further north in the North Park. Some people don't think the North Park is as exciting or as interesting as the south part of the park. But one of the nice things about the North Park, you see this lawn's already been mowed, is that it's quieter here. The quietness is appreciated. Springtime is beautiful here. Great place to come and have a picnic. The trees are just starting to open. A lot of the things that you see here in the park that may look natural to you, they're not. Everything was planned, designed by architects, laid out. Every tree was intentionally planted where it exists. Every bush, every blade of grass was planted with intent. There was nothing haphazard about this. The park wasn't entirely vacant when it was constructed. There was a place in the park called Seneca Village. You can Google Seneca Village, same as the Indian names. And in reality, it was an Indian camp, or Indian tribal camp. It was in Central Park, and it became part of the Underground Railroad. And slaves that were escaping from the South literally moved in and stayed in that camp en route to Boston and points north. So it played an integral part in fighting slavery in the 1850s and 1860s. Seneca Park was cleared out when this north portion of the park was purchased. As I said previously, the park's 843 acres. They purchased originally all the land up to 102nd Street, and then there was the last chunk, which includes the Harlem Mere Lake that was constructed, and that was in the area of the 8 blocks between 102nd Street and 110th Street. Now, over there, on the other side of the roadway, they're doing construction. With any large structure like this, what they periodically do is they shut down sections, rebuild, revitalize, redo buildings, restaurants, bathrooms. One of the Conservatory Gardens, the one that's particularly, I like one of the best, is the Italian garden. That's currently closed. For the same reason, it's going under renovations. Now here, if you look over here, they're doing something as well. Looks like tennis courts, possibly. It is. Tennis courts. Tennis courts. Showers. This is the North Park area. Behind the tennis courts, there are baseball fields, soccer fields, and that is, believe it or not, hard true. Hard true is artificial clay. It's very expensive to maintain. It has to be watered and rolled on a daily basis. And I can't tell how many courts they have here, but I'd say they have at least a dozen courts. And then it looks like a sort of clubhouse. This is all public. Anyone can do this. Just show up here and sign up, pay them fee, and play tennis. And for the people who live in Manhattan, this is a great place to be. That's why the slogan this year for the park is Central Park, your backyard. A lot of folks living in apartments don't really have a backyard. Even if they have a $5 million condo, if they have a backyard at all, it's tiny. And we see more, looks like more tennis courts down there. Now, if you look down there and hear the noise from those cars, that's the car path. Frederick Law Olmsted, who designed the park, was way ahead of his time. He put in 4 cross streets across the park that are sunk below the level of the park so you don't see the traffic as much. And street traffic can go through there. Now in his day, in 1858, It would have been horses, buggies, and trucks being pulled by horses. Today it's trucks and cars and everything else. So by doing this, he caused an uninterrupted flow of the park. Now you notice how there's no straight lines in the park, but lakes and ponds don't go in straight lines. He did this intentionally. Manhattan is laid out in a grid, which from my point of view makes it easy to find your way around. That was done in 1823. Everything north of, I believe, Soho was put into grid structure, where there were avenues going north and south, streets going east and west, and the even-numbered streets go east, and the odd-numbered streets go west, with some exceptions where there's some streets that go both ways. Now we're going to cross further and go up even further north in the park. This is a Wednesday, but even on Wednesday, people are out exercising. We're now going to walk over the road to the northern part of the park. By the way, you see what this is? This is the bridle path. This is where horses have the right of way. There's the roadway before you go into the park. Now you recall I told you about baseball fields. There's 4 or 5 baseball fields. Let's look at a map to help us all identify where we are right now. The red mark indicates where we are. We started our journey right about here on the reservoir. Walked up here, jumped off the reservoir around here, and now we've walked our way over the bridge and we're here. This is what they call the North Meadow we're looking at now. And we're heading, our next stop is the Conservatory Garden. The conservatory, as I think I started to explain, but I'll explain it again. There's the North Meadow. You see, it's a whole bunch of baseball fields. That's what it looks like from our point of view. It looks like there's about 12 of them with handball courts, racquetball courts. Pardon me, probably allergic to horse manure or something. And there's bathrooms there. There's also bathrooms that are maybe available in the Conservatory Garden if you're looking for bathrooms. And in the summertime, the bathrooms are usually crowded, there's usually a long wait. But this is a useful map to have. These maps are located conveniently all over the park. Now, we covered in a prior video the southern part of the park, which is the most interesting part, I guess. The Great Lawn, that's where another reservoir. This reservoir fed into this reservoir here in the Great Lawn. It's where they have concerts and things of that nature. The World Citizen Concert is there. Then that went down to its next stop via pipes to the 42nd Street Library and the park behind it, where that was another big reservoir. That was the distribution reservoir where all the pipes came off. Because at that point in time, 42nd Street is where the bulk of the population is located. Now, also take a look at this. Does it look like a flat piece of land to you? No, there's hills, there's changing gradations. That hill over there is probably 50 or 75 feet higher than where the field is. Lots of hills and lots of changes in gradations. During the Revolutionary War, in the north part of the park, further up beyond those fields, is the real high land. It's almost like mountain-sized type creature land. And during the Revolutionary War, both the Americans and the British were fighting over it. Habitat conservation area. Okay, let's get back to our path over here, bridle path. I'll yield right away to any horses that come along. Now let's go further north. Our next stop is the conservatories. They're actually formal gardens. Everything that was done was non-formal. In the middle of the 19th century, when this park was constructed, formal gardens was all the thing. That was the way gardens were built, both in the United States and Europe. However, as I said, Frederick Law Olmsted didn't see it that way. He was a little ahead of his time. He wanted to do something different. He wanted to give it a wild effect. When we get to the North Woods, which is the end of our presentation, you'll see that even though it's all planted, he did it in such a way that it appears very wild. Beautiful grass. What a beautiful place to play baseball for free. How about that? While I'm walking into the Conservatory Gardens, let me explain to you. Look at the buildings over there with the blue sky. What a great place to be. How many of you would like to live right there and have this park available to you anytime you want it? As they say, your backyard. Be a great backyard, I think. That grass looks like a golf course lawn. And there's someone playing baseball. There's a team there. How about that? In the south part of the park, they have fields, but organized games and play is not authorized. If you want to do organized games, you have to come to the north park to do it. I was playing on those fields as a kid. I never played on fields that nice when I was a kid. Now we're working our way slowly toward the conservatory and then to the Harlem Mare. The conservatory is actually run by the Central Park Conservatory. As I told you earlier, they are a group of people who started off just an unofficial organization of wealthy people who lived near the park who wanted to make the park better. Now they have quasi-official status. They have their own website, a whole bunch of employees. They supplant the workers the park has to do maintenance. They do plantings. Some of these flowers may have been from them for all I know. Beautiful. Spring is here. And they also are willing to spend the money necessary to make things better. So think, if you lived here in one of those buildings, you just walk over here anytime you want to and hang out in your backyard. They have rules to follow, but that's good. There are no rules. everything would fall apart, right? And realize that all these are not trees over here that were planted, that popped up by accident. These are trees that were intentionally planted where you see them. They've been maintained. Remember I told you the park, they shut down portions of the park periodically for maintenance. Maintenance means they clean out the debris, the dead trees, they trim the trees, make it look beautiful. Those are going to be violets eventually. I think, or maybe something different. It's a yellow flower. It's the rock that Manhattan is built on. It's always interesting to me to look at those rocks because you look at them, you'll see the grain or the sedimentary layers are going not from top to bottom but across the middle, meaning that the earth had a big upturning and they were twisted around. And 1 million years ago, this may have been the bottom of an ocean or the bottom of some prehistoric sea. Now see that high hill over there? That's some of the high ground I was telling you about. That the American revolutionaries and the British actually fought over, because when you stand on top of that hill, you can see a good direction, good distance in almost any direction. If you're a military person, that's important. High ground's always important when you're a military person. Hiya. You like rocks?
I have a big palm tree on my apartment,
Oh,
so I need to replant in a bigger pot.
and you use
I'm
the
gonna
rocks
put-
on the surface to keep weeds down and
No,
things?
in the base
Oh, you need for drainage.
for drainage
Wonderful.
because it's big. It's
Big?
and it's gonna be a good
How
memory.
tall is your palm tree?
It's, I will say it's already like this.
10 feet, 15 feet?
Yeah, I'm a
Very
huge
cool.
apartment. It
Very
looks
cool.
exactly like this.
Very good. There's some more big rocks over here.
It will be a good memory to see the tree, and you know that rocks from Central Park is underneath.
Absolutely.
It's make like a tiny one thing.
Absolutely. Makes it more important. See, now there's some more of the high ground. See how high that land is right over there? And over here? Now we're going to try across the street, waiting for these guys to go by. These are gentle bikers. We're about to go into the Conservatory Gardens now and check them out. We've heard bikers from France, from Germany, from all over the world coming here. And as I told you, one of them was under construction. I believe the Italian garden is being rebuilt. This looks like we might have come first to the Italian garden. And there's the construction work area. And this is another, I'd say, construction work area. They're clearing some trees. There's some fill, redoing the garden. Let's walk down further. Two of the gardens, I believe, are open. I don't think we're in there yet because to get into these gardens, you have to, the conservatory is a quasi-private organization. You have to go through gates and wrought iron fencing that's about 15 feet tall. It goes around all the gardens. So that should be coming up soon. What a great place to be. Great place to have lunch in the spring. What a beautiful blue sky. It's being brought to you in 4K, 60 frames per second by Gary's Tours. If you like this, just hit that red button down on the lower right hand side of the screen and subscribe. Then you'll be notified. It costs nothing. You'll be notified of all the upcoming videos when they're launched. This takes us to the Conservatory Gardens. You see how high the ground is here. And see how far you can see the distance from that high ground. Look at that. That high ground is like 5-6 stories tall. As a matter of fact, there's the fence for the Conservatory Gardens, that 15-foot wrought iron fence. That's where we had the New York Marathon finishes in Central Park. In the last 3 miles of the marathon, the top runners are a little tired after 23 miles. And if you look at the map on Central Park, it looks relatively flat. If they didn't run it before, they suddenly find they're running up a 25-30 degree incline, which probably isn't that much fun when you run 23 miles. Look at that rock. That's the rock that allows New York City to build the buildings the size they are. With sand or clay, buildings would sink. Now let's check out these Conservatory Gardens. Picnic! How about that? A week ago, it was a 40-mile-an-hour wind and the temperature was 42 degrees. About 10 degrees above freezing. Today, it's about 75, pushing 80. It's a beautiful day. See how quiet this part of the park is? If you look at our other video, which was done on Saturday, of the South Park, very, very crowded. This park is a lot less crowded right now. So when you come to New York, put on your list the North Park. Wait till you see how beautiful the Conservatory Gardens are. And not that many people even know about it. But Gary's Tours is going to tell you all about it. Restoration of Conservatory Garden. Bloomberg Philanthropies is restoring one of the gardens. The Italian garden, the one in the middle, I believe. I believe this is, which garden is this? This looks like the English garden to me. I believe it's the English garden. Let's see. We'll know quickly. And you see the big fences we left? That's because the New York Central Park Conservatory has different hours than the rest of the park. The rest of the park opens at 8 a.m., stays open to 1 a.m. They don't do that. They open more like 10 o'clock in the morning and close at like 5. And they have to protect their investment here. It's a substantial gardening investment. This is, I believe, the English garden. Not too many people here taking photographs of flowers. What a beautiful place to be in springtime. Didn't want to walk in that woman's video. She's making a video. What beautiful flowers. Makes you feel like spring is here, doesn't it? We paid nothing to get in here today. I don't know what this tree is, but it's beautiful. If any of you know what kind of tree this is, please put it in your notes in the comments. Let me know, because I'd love to know. Daffodils. I've been in gardens in France and Ireland, and actually the gardens in France and Ireland can't compare to these gardens. These are beautiful, absolutely beautiful gardens. Probably thousands of bulbs planted in here. What if they rip them out every year and put in new ones? They probably do. Spring is here in New York. Many people here are tourists and they're speaking different languages.
None of us.
That gives it away.
So,
Now, would you like to know who that statue is on? I can tell you in a moment. Did you ever read when you were a child the book The Secret Garden? Let's look at the plaque here and see what it says. There's a plaque, we can read it. It's for Francis Hodgson Burnett, 1849 to 1924. She wrote a book called The Secret Garden. There's two creatures with her. One's called Dixon, little boy, and I never read The Secret Garden, but the girl has a different name I do not recall. But this is supposedly her and the two people that are in her book. Oh, Dixon's there, but the other person's not. I guess it's just a little girl and a little boy. It's not. It doesn't involve her at all. So it's a little girl and a little boy that are from her book. The little boy's name, I believe, was Dixon in The Secret Garden. You can see this place is ahead. Just a little bit. If you get bored looking at flowers, leave a note in the comment and say no more flowers, please. These people aren't bored. Let's get our sun in the right position. Do these flowers correctly. It's so nice to have a blue sky and a sunny day after the winter we've had. I wish I knew the names of all these tulips, but I don't. What beautiful flowers. About 20 different languages being spoken. People dressed in all different kinds of clothing. This is the English garden. There used to be 3 gardens. They're working on, I think, the Italian garden. It's possible that the author of The Secret Garden was English. That's why she's in the English garden. Okay, let's see where we're going now. I don't know what these trees are, but they're beautiful. So all of this is brought to you by a private organization called the Central Park Conservatory. Started in the late 19th century by just wealthy neighbors who lived around the area. Now they have a relationship with the New York City Parks Department and do a lot of the work to maintain particularly these gardens. They have a large staff of employees. Just as a note for travelers, there are bathrooms here for you. So there's bathrooms right there. We call them, in the US we call them bathrooms. In Europe they call them toilets. If you go to Europe and you ask someone for a bathroom, they'll think you want to take a bath. If you ask them for a restroom, they'll think you want to go to sleep. Here we call them bathrooms, but the rest of the world calls them toilets. This is someone from the Central Park Conservancy. And that's their website. Their website, they do videos every week, by the way, of different walks and to show things they're doing. This is the Italian garden. It's a big grassy field. And here there's a fountain, and above it you see the metal trellis. That often is covered with vines. I think they're working on putting more vines in it and replacing the vines that were there, because it looks beautiful in the summer. When the vines are there, they give you a shade. You want to go up and sit there. Let's see where this road takes us. Ivy is a ground cover. I don't see Pachysandra, but it's ivy. Now let's see where we are. You have 3 gardens here, correct? The Italian garden, the French garden, the English garden. English garden and the Italian garden are open, right?
Yeah, and the French garden too.
Oh, thank you. I thought one was closed.
No, they're all open now.
Thank you. This is the French garden. That's what it looks like. Classic French garden, the way it might look in a French estate in the 18th or 19th century. Let's go down and take a look. Those are beautiful trellises in the French garden. We can talk about a floral demonstration. How about that? How does that look?
The meter guy?
Black tulips or deep purple tulips? Great place to walk around Easter Sunday, I'd say.
Yeah. So you'll just be like,
This used to look like a garden that was like one of those hedges where you get lost, but the hedges have deteriorated a little bit. They're not as tightly grown together as they used to be. Maybe we can replace them. The next one looks a little better. More. What a beautiful place. And it's free. Italian tourists. Symmetrical garden. Very beautiful. As I told you, you can buy one of these benches for $10,000 and get a plaque on it. This person looks like they share the plaque with someone else. They just threw $5,000 in. This I told you about. They work at a totally independent time than the park does. So they close and you can't get in. I think it's 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now here, what looks like a boat steps going down is the start of the Harlem Meer. There's the Harlem River. Harlem is a old Dutch word, by the way. And that little, what looks like a green, almost playhouse, is the Children's Nature Discovery Center, where classes come of school children. Let's take a little walk around the Meer, the Harlem Meer, and see what it's like. after the Harlem Mere, we're going to the North Woods, which will be our final destination, which is, once again, specifically designed and planted, but made to look like it was wild and natural. And there's another truck from the Central Park Conservancy. All right, welcome to the Harlem Mere. Central Park Conservancy is building you a new pool and ice rink as we complete decades-long restoration of the Harlem Mere landscape. Okay, I guess the new pool, the swimming pool up here, a new pool and an ice skating rink that is cheaper than the pool in the southern part of the park. Here's the Lasker pool, Lasker ice rink. Everyone else is familiar with the other pool, name escapes me at the moment. But that's been in movies. I think Donald Trump in his early days helped give them money because the rink was in such bad condition. This is the northern end of the Harlem Mere, which is another artificial lake. It looks natural, but it's not. There's nothing natural in the park except the rocks that you see here. Now, as we walk along here, on this high land and these high rocks, it used to be Mount St. Vincent was a nunnery right up there on top of those rocks. They built a nunnery. There's also some more high land, which is good for combat purposes. Now, in the Harlem Mere, you can fish if you like. It's catch and release. You can't keep it, can't take it home and eat it. I do not know what kind of fish exist in the Harlem Mere. And there's the Children's Nature Discovery Center.
We're submitting all of that. No, we're submitting all of that.
It's the Conservancy doing more stuff. The Harlem Mere. Must be a Dutch word for lake. As I say, that little building over there, that's the nature study place for young children. There's some geese, a lot of geese here in the Harlem Mere. And geese don't bite, but they pinch. Warn your children about that. Geese don't bite, but they pinch you pretty nicely. Now, Terry's Tour fans, we're going to go to finish our tour of the Harlem Mere and take a look at that. You see the house where they do the nature instruction for children. They bring classes over there and do that right there. And we're now going to endeavor to take you over to the North Woods. They designed the North Woods back in the 1860s they wanted to have a place where people could go, if we're allowed to go there, and maybe we're not. Well, so much for my trip to the North Woods with you folks. They're locking us out. They're doing restoration of this part of the mere, so we're not allowed to go over there. It's been a beautiful day here on the Harlem Mere. The gardens are absolutely superbly beautiful. Tulips of every known variety. Look at that stone wall ahead of us. That's bedrock. Well, Gary's Tour fans, this probably concludes, or coming as close to the conclusion of our tour of the North Park. I want to just let you know, sort of by way of a little commercial, that in April of 2026 we're sponsoring a tour to the Republic of Ireland. It flies into Dublin on Thursday, where you'll be able to go and see the homes of the ladies who starred in the Bad Sisters television show that was on Apple TV. And then we'll go and look at the Dublin Castle on the Saturday. And Dublin Castle is not a castle where some rich lord lived, it's where the English government controlled Ireland for 800 years. It was their colonial capital, you might call it. And that's in April of 2026. We'll be doing videos on it. If you register before October 1st, you get a $250 discount. So thank you for watching. If you like this kind of video, subscribe and like. Punch that red button on the lower right hand side of the screen. Have a wonderful day. Bye.